Right, so I'm speaking with Chris Mitchum, candidate for U.S. Congress, 24th District. I'd like to know what your stance is on the Federal Reserve.
Well, the Federal Reserve has barely been scratched. They did, I think the audit went from 2009 to 2011, from December to June. And in fact, they found that they had spent $15 trillion to financial institutions during the TARP spending. It's frightening. Goldman Sachs, I think, got $2.some trillion. Banks in Germany got money. Banks in England got money. I mean, the kind of money that they've spent on our financial institutions, it made me believe that the whole TARP thing was basically just a smoke and mirrors game to hide what the Feds were really doing. I think if we really do a serious audit on them and we find out what they've really done in this country and around the world, I don't know if we're ready to be shocked that much, but $15 trillion in 2.5 years in spending is, I mean, we definitely need to look into the Feds and see about certainly reining them in, if not dismantling them.
So, do you support getting rid of the Federal Reserve entirely?
Well, I'd like to see what they're doing. Yeah, I don't think we really know enough about them yet. You know, that one audit that they managed to get done, as I said, it's frightening information that came out. I think we need to find out really what they've done. Maybe there's some stuff that's punishable on what they've been doing, and how they've managed and manipulated not only our economy but the world economy. But I think we need more knowledge before you can't just write in and say, let's get rid of the Fed. We need to find out really who they are first and then dismantle them appropriately.
What about Obamacare?
Oh, well, if the...
what will you do, I assume,
if the Supreme Court doesn't abolish it in the next month or so, we'll abolish it when we get to Congress. It is the biggest power grab that's probably ever been done in this country. It does to the medical world what Dodd-Frank does to the financial world. It grabs control of everything. It's not about health care at all. The number of new taxes that are in there, the Pelosi said you got to pass it before you know what's in it. Well, the more we find out what's in it, the more frightening it is, and it really has nothing to do with health care at all.
I don't know if you're aware about the Obama administration's stance in terms of war powers, but Obama said he went to war in Libya on behalf of the United Nations, and recently Leon Panetta just said that he gets his declarations of war from international bodies, including the UN, not Congress, and he told that directly to Congress. Curious what your take is on that.
Well, you know, I kind of like the idea of maybe telling the UN to move out to The Hague and you know, be buddies with the World Court. You know, they seem to be of the same ilk. We could probably help settle some of the national debt by selling the UN building, and probably make a big savings on all the free parking tickets that we give out to diplomats in New York. You know, the people who run the UN, the other countries, it's basically an anti-American organization. I appreciate the argument that it's good to know your enemy and keep them close to you, which is probably really the only reason why we're involved in it. Obama's taken that another step. You know, the fact that Agenda 21 and the Rio, 1994 UN meeting that's permeating our country now and taking over our communities and manipulating our communities, it's destroying business. You know, all this stuff is coming out of the UN. There's the whole new gun control UN world thing that Obama wants to get involved in. I think it's appalling. We are a sovereign nation, and we have no business telling them what to do.
So you support a move to get out of the United Nations?
I think we had the League of Nations, and when it disappeared, we did all right without it. The United Nations, as I said, there's maybe some argument there to keep your enemies close, but I really don't see any benefit. You know, we basically are the sole supporter of the UN. You know, it's our money that keeps them going. You know, it is our land where they domicile there in New York City. But you know, what do we get out of it other than certainly our military does not want our soldiers wearing blue helmets and being under some Italian general on the UN action. You know, any UN action that we're involved in, we want our own generals there running it, which basically makes it an American action. So why even bother with this?
I'm curious where you stand on civil liberties. Obama just signed this NDAA into law, and it says that the military can now indefinitely detain American citizens without due process.
Yeah, I believe that's also part of Obamacare. You know, they hashed that over in Congress quite a bit. Most people believe that it was taken care of well enough that he really doesn't have that right. John McCain, amongst others, feels that they still do have the power to basically lock us down under martial law at his discretion. Our soldiers, which are constitutionally not allowed to act within our country, can go ahead and detain citizens for as long as necessary without any due process. So this is a frightening thing. And you talk to a number of people, they're afraid that this might happen before, if he's losing in the polls, before November comes around. And, you know, I'm not a conspiritualist, but you know, there's a lot of scary stuff going on.
The senators who authored the bill said on the Senate floor that it was the Obama administration that demanded that it apply to American citizens.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. You know, these are scary times right now. That's why nobody can stand to, you know, go to lunches and hear speeches. They have to get involved. We need every American who still has an American heart beating in their chest.
So would you support a bill to either repeal the NDAA entirely?
Absolutely.
All right.
Get rid of it.
And
you know, part of the problem is, you know, we're doing our funding by continuing resolutions. And this is crazy what's going on. We haven't had a budget in, what, 3 years now? You know, we need to get back to doing business here. Everything that the House sends to the Senate reads tabling. He's paralyzing this country because he doesn't want people to have to vote on it because there's an election coming up.
Last thing with regard to civil liberties, where do you stand on the TSA? My editor just got back from England, and he was forced to go through the body scanners. His wife got groped, and this is happening by the day.
Yeah.
More and more stories about invasive TSA.
You know, the overall concept of the TSA is understandable, and I think most Americans accept that when you see what happened on 9/11. We do need some security. I travel a lot, and they say, I forget what the T stands for, but the
Transportation.
SA is standing around is the SA. Because you go there and you see 20 TSA people, 3 of them are working, the rest of them are just doing nothing. I'll probably get strip search next time I go through now. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with profiling. You know, every terrorist act has been committed by a Muslim. So why not profile Muslims? You know, what you see some 80-year-old grandmother, you know, going over and having the wand passed over. I mean, what's this?
There have been some old ladies who've been strip searched.
Yeah, I know. This is crazy. It's crazy. And it was put forth very early in that part of this was a move to train the American people to submit to government. That's what it was really about. That when the government says sit, we sit. And I think we need to take a good look at that.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.